In April 2023, Mercedes introduced a new generation of the E-Class, and it is certainly excellent, but we wondered how this model developed from the very beginning. We will talk about this today, but for now, make yourself comfortable and do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and we are starting. The prototype of the current E-Class was a Mercedes model with the W136 index. Originally the car was conceived for commercial use, as well as for use by all kinds of special services, and was equipped with a 1.7-liter gasoline engine. This series was produced from 1947 to 1953, and Mercedes managed to slap a little over 91,000 pieces, which at that time was a record for the production of cars. In September 1953, Mercedes introduced the next generation with the W120 index. It was a fundamentally different car compared to other models of the post-war years from Mercedes. Engineers here for the first time used the so-called three-volume body type. The front fenders were integrated into the car body, which made it possible to significantly improve the aerodynamic characteristics, and as a result, had a positive effect on the acoustic comfort of the car. In total, during the production of this series from 1953 to 1962, for modifications of gasoline engines with a capacity of 52 to 68 horsepower and 3 modifications of diesel units producing from 40 to 48 horses were installed on the car, and 443,000 units were produced. In 1961, Mercedes began production of the next generation with the W110 index. The model was produced with a 1.9-liter gasoline engine with 80 horsepower, as well as with a diesel unit of the same volume with 55 horsepower and a 4-speed manual transmission. Thanks to its economical engines, this series was very popular among taxi drivers. By the way, an interesting fact related to this series. In 1964, a young taxi driver named Ralph Werner took possession of this marvel of engineering at that time and began to use it in the nature of his professional activity, and was able to stretch his happy days as a 110 series driver right up to 2008, until the environmental authorities of Europe forbade him to get his piece of bread with his old friend and breadwinner, since, in their opinion, one of the few surviving specimens of this series was shattering the already fragile ecology in Europe into the trash. Our Ralph wanted to register his steel friend as a retro car, but even then he was refused, they say, but it was not necessary to earn money on it, dear friend, but to carefully store it in the garage. Here is such a sad story about the relationship between the German authorities and their citizens. But we digress. So in 1962, a 4-speed automatic transmission appeared in the arsenal of the 110 series, which was a breakthrough in technology at that time, since all manufacturers of that time offered only 3-speed gearboxes, and already in '63, Mercedes first used in their models braking system with disc front brakes. In total, over the period from 1961 to 1968, a little more than 628,000 pieces were produced. This model with different engine options ranging from 1.9 to 2.3 liters of petrol versions and from 1.9 to 2 liters of diesel versions. In 1968, there was a change of generations and the world was presented with a Mercedes with the W114 index. In those distant years this car was considered one of the most prestigious in its segment. This Mercedes model for the first time in its segment received a 6-cylinder petrol and a 5-cylinder diesel engine. The power of gasoline 4-cylinder engines ranged from 95 to 110 horsepower, but 6-cylinder new units could already boast of power from 120 to 180 horses, impressive for those times. Diesel units produced from 55 to 65 horses in a 4-cylinder version and as many as 80 horses in a 5-cylinder version. Also, in addition to the sedan, the W114 series was produced in the back of a coupe and a sedan with an extended wheelbase. The equipment of this series was already quite rich for those times. Here you have electric windows in the front and rear doors, air conditioning and an electrically adjustable steering column. And of course, it is impossible not to tell that for the first time for Mercedes, an engine with an electronic injection system was installed in this series. In total, from '68 to 1976, Mercedes produced more than 1,800,000 copies of this series. In January of the 76th year, a generational change took place and Mercedes rolled out as many as 9 different models with an index of 123 to the world. For this series, the appearance of ABS systems and airbags for the driver in the equipment of cars is noteworthy. Of the distinctive features of this series, one can note a radically redesigned design in the front of the car. For example, instead of vertical headlights, the new model now has horizontally arranged block lamps are familiar to everyone. The equipment of the car became even richer. It included climate control, seat heating, limited slip differential, cruise control and much more. All this was offered for an additional fee. Engines offered ugly. 5 petrol versions with a capacity from 94 to 185 horsepower and 3 diesel modifications with a capacity of 60 to 125 horses, which were produced by the turbo diesel engine with the OM617 index, which was first installed by Mercedes. In total, almost 2,400,000 copies were collected from 1976 to 1985. In the 85th Mercedes with the Index 123 officially ceased to be produced and was replaced by the Index 124, which was subsequently renamed the E-Class. Initially, the model started with 7 types of engines, 4 petrol and 3 diesel units. This generation went through 2 restylings in 1989 and 1993, after which Mercedes replaced the Index with the model designation as the E-Class, foreshadowed by the release of the 500e model in 1990, which Mercedes developed jointly with Porsche. The fact is that Mercedes managed to make a bombing 5-liter new V8 with a capacity of 326 frisky horses, but the suspension and brakes were so crazy, so I had to turn to Porsche specialists, who brought the whole thing to mind. The production of this model ended in the 95th year, although according to rumors for some markets they were assembled in India and South Africa until the year 96. In 1995, the E-Class updated the generation. Mercedes showed a fundamentally new design of this model, which determined the concept of its appearance for many years and decades. During the production of this model, from 95 to 2003, it was installed on the car at different times. Attention! 17 petrol and 11 diesel units, from 88 to 381 horsepower, the drive was both rear and full, and the suspension was multi-link both front and rear. The car offered 3 configuration options: Classic, Elegance and Avant-Garde. But despite all the innovative design and technical stuffing of the E-Class, he had one huge problem: he rotted in almost all places where metal was used. This was due to design flaws plus the use of water-based paints. But despite this, Mercedes has produced more than 1,650,000 pieces. The year 2002 was marked for Mercedes by the release of the new E-Class. The car was painted quite fresh for that time and looked just superb. In total, during the release of this model, 14 different gasoline engines with power from 163 to 514 horsepower and 11 diesel versions from 122 to 314 horses were offered. Now standard equipment included climate control, an audio system with CD playback, power seats, cruise control and much more. For a surcharge, a navigation system with a 4.9-inch screen was offered, and in 2003 its diagonal was increased to 6.5 inches. In addition, since 2005, a Harman Kardon sound system with 12 speakers and a power of 420 watts has been offered. In addition, in 2005, Brabus introduced the EV12 biturbo, based on the new E-Class. The car had the power of 640 horses, issued by V12 and set a speed record on the Nard Plus O racing track, gaining 350 in 2 km per hour. In total, about 1.5 million of this generation were sold. In 2009, Mercedes introduced the 4th official generation of the E-Class. At the start of sales, 5 petrol and 5 diesel versions were available, ranging from 136 to 525 horsepower. The new E-Class has received many new technologies, such as driver fatigue detection, lane departure warning, and traffic sign recognition. Others include direct control adaptive suspension, active seats and movable grille shutters that improve aerodynamic efficiency. car. The car immediately fell in love with the public and won many awards in different countries of the world from Russia to America. In 2013, the E-Class underwent a facelift and began to look even more modern. The front and rear parts of the car were completely changed, including all optics. Now full LED headlights could be installed for an extra charge. But despite the all-begotten love, the E-Class still had its drawbacks, so it survived 2 revocable companies due to a malfunction of the power steering and fuel filter in diesel versions. In total, over the years of production of this generation of the E-Class from 2009 to 2016, more than 1 million units were produced. The next generation of the E-Class appeared in 2016. Its presentation took place on January 11 at the Detroit Auto Show. At the start of sales, only 2 types of engines were offered. These were 2-liter gasoline and diesel versions with a capacity of 184 and 195 horsepower, respectively. Both units were combined with a 9-speed automatic transmission. In total, for the entire time of the release of this generation, 15 gasoline and 8 diesel engines of various modifications with a capacity from 150 to 612 horsepower were installed on the E-Class. The E-Class has also significantly updated its technological equipment. Now it has received from the older S-Class driver assistance systems, the totality of which became the prototype of autonomous driving. They included radars of different ranges, stereo cameras, various sensors, an adaptive cruise control system, as well as a car lane keeping system. The E-Class also received the remote parking pilot system, which allowed you to control the car from your smartphone while being outside. In 2020, the car underwent restyling, which affected the front optics and taillights. The latest generation of the MBUX multimedia system appeared, and the engineers also slightly modified the engine range. During release from 2016 to 2023, the E-Class has received many positive reviews and awards, such as the Red Dot Design Award for the matrix technology of the front optics, the Automotive Interiors Expo Awards for the best interior of a production car, and also won the title of the best car of the year many times in many countries around the world. But along with all sorts of awards, there were also unpleasant moments associated with this generation. The car was recalled many times for various reasons. At different times, various malfunctions were revealed, from an incorrectly fixed spoiler to a malfunction of the car's security systems. But this did not stop Mercedes from selling more than 1,300,000 cars around the world, and this is only the Dorstale versions. Of course, in this video, we will not be able to tell all the smallest details of the rich history of this Mercedes model, since it has more than 70 years, but I hope that we were able to convey to you how this model has evolved with the times, and sometimes even ahead of it. If you liked this video, then do not forget to subscribe to our channel so as not to miss the review of the new generation of the E-Class, and that's all for me. See you soon, bye.